and made the entrance fee $300 a person, at which nobody attended, and everybody said he was crazy, and that they would never pay that much. So he lowered it by half to $150 to come into his zoo, and still no one came. He lowered it again to $50, and still no one would come to his zoo. So he went one night thinking, had an idea, how can I get people to come to my zoo? So, and still have it be profitable. And so he said, come to my zoo for free. And then there was lines, there was 1,000 people, free zoo. So they all get in there and go into the zoo, and they're there, you know, roaming around looking at the animals. Oh, it's wonderful. He locks the gate of the zoo behind the people, turns the animals loose, and then tells them it's $500 to exit. It's a good business strategy right there. Let me see, what is this? No, that's not it. I want to read I want you to listen to something that I'm trying to find it. It's about overcoming. Here's a story. I don't know if this is true, but it's a good story. I'll let you listen to it. This is about Einstein, and Einstein was once asked, who's the smartest man?
Who is the smartest man you've ever met? And he very quickly answered, the smartest man I've ever met was my chauffeur. And the press said, okay, can you explain that? And he said, yes. My chauffeur traveled around the world with me in the 1920s and sat through every one of my lectures. And then on one day, I was so sick on the way to a lecture, I said to him, I'm going to have to cancel this. The chauffeur said, you don't have to cancel it. I'll just stand up and give the lecture. I've listened to you do this 300 times. Albert, being completely shocked, said, okay. So they changed clothes. The chauffeur got up, gave a perfect, seamless speech, and a press reporter stands up and asks the most sophisticated question in the theory of relativity that you could ever imagine. And the chauffeur just instantly said, sir, that question is so simplistic that even my chauffeur sitting there could answer that question. So Albert Einstein, wearing the chauffeur outfit, stood up and just destroyed the question, so much so that no one in the press wanted to ask another question. Most times, genius isn't having all the information. It's simply having the courage to stand up, recognize opportunity, pivot in the moment, and recognizing how to use people next to you. That's true genius. 1920, portion of the press asked Albert.
Oh, that was good, wasn't it? Let's see. Here's one. I was heartbroken when my wife told me that my 5-year-old was not our child, my child. Then she told me, pay more attention when you pick the children up at kindergarten. Let's see.
Most people don't know this, but
Okay,
there's a
here we go.
brain structure.
All right. So this is about overcoming, and this is biological. These people are not Christian. This is an interview that I believe David Goggins is having. If you don't know who David Goggins is, he's if you see him on YouTube, he uses a lot of profanity, but he's a Navy SEAL. Had to actually go through Navy SEAL training 3 different times because, like, I think the first time he had like shattered his shin. Another time I think he got pneumonia, but he persevered. Prior to that, he was like a 300-pound kid when he was little, and he was fatherless, and he had, just kind of a horrible upbringing, and he made a decision, and so, anyways, now he runs like the equivalent of 3 marathons, a week. He does these, he swims in ice. He's one of these guys who bust into a frozen lake and, do all this crazy stuff. And CEOs of Fortune 500 companies and premier athletes and stuff hire him just to kick their ass. Because here's the thing. People that are high performers know that, so I do a teaching that says, you need to love, you can write this down, this phrase. You need to learn to love the boot. Learn to love the boot. Anybody that's a high performer knows that complacency is the death of success. Complacency is the death of success. And so, even if you're a high performer, you recognize that it's easy to be complacent, it's easy to settle, and you need to get a boot up your ass to get you moving again, to get you to be unsettled. Now, this is biblical. There's a scripture that talks about, and you can look it up. I believe it's Joab, and the prophet says, Moab. Moab has been at ease. It was a kingdom, it was a people that had it easy. And they had become settled, and they had become relaxed, and they had gotten to a point of comfortability. And they were like, hey, we're successful, things are going great, And the Bible says of God, he says, she has become like a wine that has settled on her dregs. And the dregs are the pulp. Okay? And the dregs will settle to the bottom. And then what happens is they make the wine end up tasting bad. And so you have to so my wife and I, when we visited Paris, we took a tour into wine country, in the French wine country, and where they make champagne. Most of the champagne in the world comes from this one region in France. And to see how they make champagne, champagne is just refined wine. Champagne is clear because all the impurities have been just refined out of it, okay? And the way they do it is, it's like the old way. They have these like caves, like underground, and then they have these real long, like, it's a slow, like, waterfall that cascades downhill, but it's all wine that flows in this channel, and it goes through like these really big. It flows through these really big metal. I don't know. You call it discs or whatever. That almost look like a steel drum or a huge golf ball, a concave golf ball that has all these dimples throughout, thousands and thousands of dimples. And so this wine just flows across this waterfall, a wine fall of these huge steel plates and stuff that have all these dimples in it. And what happens as it flows over, the weight of the dregs settles in the dimple, and then it just keeps going, and they just keep doing this. And the dregs just keep settling, the weight of the dregs settle in the dimples, and they clean the dimples out, and then they run it through again and run it through again and run it through again. So it collects the dregs. So if you get wine and it settles on the dregs. So let me show you in the Bible even what God is. Okay. What's it say? Moab has been at ease. Is that the one? Moab is referred to quite a bit. God wasn't ever too happy about the people of Moab, the Moabites. Is it the one that says, I will send wine workers? Huh? Yep. Go ahead and read it. Well, let me read it. What is it? Jeremiah 48:11. Like I said, I know the Bible. I just don't know where in the Bible this stuff is. Jeremiah 48. Let's go into that NIV. All right. Jeremiah, we're talking about complacency being the enemy of success, okay? And you got to love your boot. And remember, I was talking about David Goggins. I'm going to share this biological. So Moab has been at ease, some translations say, at rest from her youth, like wine left on its dregs, not poured from jar to jar, not poured from vessel to vessel. She has not gone into exile, meaning she's not been captured. She hasn't had to struggle. She hasn't been defeated. So she tastes as she always did. Ho-hum, average, boring, same old, same old. Right? So she tastes as she always did. and her aroma is unchanged. I think one translation says, what's it say? Is a what? It stink. Its stink has not changed. But the day is coming, declares the Lord, when I will send men. One translation says, I will send wine workers to smash her bottles. I will send workers to pour out the pitchers and pour her out and empty her pitchers and smash her jars so she can't go back. Right? God doesn't want you to go back. You wonder, oh, what's happening? Listen, some of those old relationships, those old things, those old jobs, those old this, that, and the other, it's like, there's a reason why, listen, it's a principle. There's a reason, the God of the Old Testament, that God was a mean God. No, that God was the God of the law, meaning there was no grace, there was no mercy. Jesus hadn't come yet, so there was no redemption. There was only law. And so a lot of times they'd say, why would God say wipe out a whole, kill the sheep, kill the dogs, kill the cats, kill everything? Why? Because the nature of people is to go back. The nature of people is to get mixed up in the wrong stuff. But guess what? If it doesn't exist anymore, you can't get mixed up in it. Can you? And so there wasn't grace and mercy. The Holy Spirit hadn't been sent. So there wasn't the power living inside of man to give us the power to overcome sin. We couldn't. All we could do was fight with it, obey the law, and then kill some sheep and goats to atone for our sin. Do you understand? But we were powerless. Do you understand? Just because they make a law that says don't murder, don't use drugs, is there any power in that law? I'm talking to y'all. Is there any power in that law? No, because guess what? It doesn't have the power to not make you use drugs. All it does is say don't use drugs, and then you'll suffer the consequence of that law. But within that law, there is no power for you to say, oh, thank you for writing the law because now I have the power not to use drugs. No, the law has no power. The law only can accuse you of breaking it. Okay? This is what Jesus was saying. And Jesus says, I haven't come to do away with the law. What I've done is come to keep the law in place, but give you the power now to not be a rule breaker. Right? So that's what Jesus does. Okay? So, I don't know where I was headed with that. About a little side note about the law there. Why God would say, the God of the Old Testament would say, I've come to smash these vessels. Because he doesn't want you going back. Because the human tendency would be like, even if you got poured out and the vessel wasn't smashed, it'd be like, at some point you're going to look around, hey, I want to go, okay, I'll go back here. I'll go back in the bottle that I just got poured out of. Back to the stinky mess, back to the thing with the scum and the dregs on the bottom. So, God says here, this is a principle that he established. Moab has been at rest from her youth, like wine left on its dregs. It's not been poured from jar to jar. It has not had to go into exile. It hasn't been captured. So she tastes as she did, and her stink is still in her. But the days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will send men to smash her bottles, wine workers to pour out of her pitchers, and they will pour her out, and they will empty her, and they will smash her jars. Then Moab will be ashamed. So I'm just saying, it's a principle in the Bible. And so when I say, love your boot, you need to know, don't be, like I said, these CEOs pay big money to have this guy come and put his foot up their butt and challenge them and push them. When they say, I can't do this, I can't do that, to challenge them, to push them, to make them do something they don't want to do. All right? Now, there is a biological, chemical thing that happens in your brain when you do what you don't want to do. There is a biological, chemical thing that happens only when you do what you don't want to do. And then when you become okay with doing it, it stops. And so the only way that this part of the brain will grow and be stimulated, the only time that it fires and the only time that it responds is when you're doing something you absolutely, I mean, not just a little bit, the more you don't want to do it, the more this part of your brain gets stimulated. Okay? All right? So, let me play this for you so you can hear it from somebody other than a preacher.
Most people don't know this, but there's a brain structure called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex. When people do anything that they, and this is the important part, that they don't want to do, this brain area gets bigger. Now here's what's especially interesting about this brain area to me. The anterior mid-cingulate cortex is smaller in obese people. It gets bigger when they diet. It's larger in athletes. It's especially large or grows larger in people that see themselves as challenged and overcome some challenge. And in people that live a very long time, this area keeps its size. In many ways, scientists are starting to think of the anterior mid-cingulate cortex not just as one of the seats of willpower, but perhaps actually the seat of the will to live. Whoa, this is interesting. And all the data point to the fact that we can build this area up, but that as quickly as we build it up, if we don't continue to invest in things that are hard for us, that we don't want to do. Like if you love the ice bath, yeah, I love the ice bath, you go from 1 minute to 10 minutes, guess what? Your anterior mid-cingulate cortex did not grow. None. But if you hate the cold water, if you're afraid of drowning, and you get into water and put your head under and survive, then the anterior mid-cingulate cortex gets bigger. But if you don't do it the next day, or if you do it the next day and you enjoy it, because hey, I did it yesterday, woohoo, guess what? Anterior mid-cingulate cortex shrinks again. Most people don't know this, but there's a brain structure.
Anterior mid-cingulate cortex. Singular. So, you don't think that God didn't know this? You don't think that there's a reason why lazy people stay lazy and overcomers just overcome more and more and more? Why? And then, like he said, it actually goes towards your health. It goes towards your longevity of life. Why? Because you actually, for one thing, fear and stress is the number one killer in people. It causes heart disease. Stress causes all kinds of health problems, okay? Every single addict is stressed. Why? Smokers are stressed. Most people that are heavy are stressed. Why? We eat for comfort, we smoke for comfort, we do drugs for comfort. Why are we seeking comfort? Because we're stressed. What is stress? Stress is fear. Is stress merry? The Bible says, a merry heart doeth good like a medicine. So can you be merry and be stressed at the same time? No, you can't. So this is the reason for the longevity of health. This is why, it's just, there's the 90-year-old guy out there still gardening at 90. And you have people that, are living in an office somewhere, taking it easy, and they're dropping dead at 60 years of age. Why? Because those people have built a life of comfort and ease, and it actually kills them. Because, listen, now the hardest thing I do is try to decide if I'm going to tee off at 9 a.m. or at 11 a.m. No challenges in their life. No reason, no will to live. Nothing to overcome. The will to live is a survival thing that is biologically inside you. You are hardwired to survive. Your greatest instinct, your number one instinct biologically, everything that you do. Listen, living in a bigger house, in a gated community, we call it success, but at its most basic level, it's still just survival. Why? Because the gated community gives us security. What is that? Security. Survival. We feel protected. So we move towards everything that makes us feel secure and protected. A bigger house puts us in a better school district. Why? The survival of our generational kind. I'm not sending my kids to that school. It's a jungle. Why? Because they might be eaten by the lions and the tigers and the bears in the jungle. So I'm just telling you, all of those metrics that we use to call success, it's nothing but survival. It's rooted in survival. And we've labeled it, oh, look at him, he's successful, she's successful. Because, why? Because us, again, as people who want to be the most comfortable we can, because in our subconscious, we equate comfort with security. Oh, I have nothing to fear. I have $100,000 in the bank. Guess what? I don't fear, and I don't have nothing in the bank. In fact, sometimes just the right amount of fear can be a real motivational thing. Make you run faster. I like to see some, we have the Olympics trials, You got people in the starting block. You got Usain Bolt, the world's fastest man, and all these other college athletes. And then what's going on over in lane number 1? What's that, man? He's got street clothes and everything. Yeah, but my money's on him. Why? He's got a warrant out for his arrest, and there's a cop behind him. All they do is he hears a gunshot, and someone flips a siren. My goodness. New world record. Doug Hayes. Who knew? A 40-year-old man with stubby legs could run so fast. Why? God hardwired us. He hardwired our brain to rise to challenges. And what it does is it proves to yourself, the more you do it, you actually get addicted to it. This is why, listen, this is why like these people, they don't, most people who are bodybuilders or really, really fit, guess what? They didn't start out with the intention, I'm going to be Mr. Olympia or I'm going to run a marathon or whatever. They woke up one day and they're like, man, I gotta change something I need to get in shape. And usually it just starts out that way. I want to get in shape. But then when you start to realize that there's benefits to doing things like that 6 o'clock alarm goes off and you don't want to get up, right? And you go, but then you start, but what happens is that love-hate relationship, like I hate doing this, but you can get addicted to the results. What is it? Even internally. Why? Because for one thing, when you overcome, you get dopamines and you get rushes of endorphins and everything like that. And there's what's called runner's high. There's what's called, and your self-esteem begins to change. Man, I never thought I could bench press 200 pounds. When I started, it was, it was only 135. I just started with the bar, no weights on it. And you get this, I can do it. Yeah, let me do more, and you've gone from that, and it's a biological, chemical thing that happens inside you. But when you always want to take the easy way out, you do yourself a disservice. You're actually killing yourself. When you're seeking comfort, you're actually killing yourself. You are. Oh, I'm just so stressed out. I need to go take a smoke break. You're cutting off your nose in spite of your face. You're killing your future for momentary comfort. A lot of people come here, I hate this. Yeah, it's called different. That's what you wanted. You said you wanted something different. It amazes me how many people say, I want change, but I don't want anything to change. I want change, but I don't want anything to change. I want the same friend. I want to be able to do the same thing, the same way, at the same time, in the same places, with all being the same. What? Because you don't like change. Well, I don't think this is, this is called different. It's called different. It's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be unfamiliar. You're not supposed to like it. If you would have liked it, you would have done it by yourself 15 years ago. It's kind of the point. You're not supposed to like it. It's different. It's hard. Yeah, but guess what? We're going to make you harder. We're going to make you an overcomer. Everybody loves the stories of a hero. Everybody loves the stories of somebody who came from nothing and made it. So everybody loves these hero stories, and this. But here's the thing: there's not a hero without an enemy, and there's not a victory without a battle. And most people avoid a battle, avoid a challenge like the plague. They run from it. Deal with it. Like I said, high-performing people, they will hire somebody to wake them up at 4 a.m. and carry their butt or throw their butt into a frozen lake. To drag them on take them out. Listen, I'm serious. Like, they pay this guy. Like, and this dude's he's hardcore. Like he comes into and he'll stay in their mansion, and he'll just go in and kick their door down at 4 a.m., drag them out of bed, put them in a car, drive them 20 miles away into some woods and say, "Find your way back, motherfucker." Straight up. And they pay for it. Why? Because they know, like, this is what I need. This is what I need to stay sharp. This is what I need to be cutting edge. This is what I need. This, this idea of, because what happens is, listen, y'all don't have to be successful, but this is what happens even at every level of the spectrum. Every level of the spectrum. I don't care if you're living in the hood or you're living in the penthouse. You surround yourself with people that tell you you're all good. Yeah, man. Oh, you're the best. You're the greatest. Oh, we love you. Yeah, hang out with us. This is great. This is awesome. Come on. Let that word let. That's let us. That's a conjunction. Us. What you need to start doing is looking around and going, who is the us that let's is talking about? Who are the people that make up the us? Because at every level, again, doesn't matter if you're in the crack house or the penthouse. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're in the White House. Most people surround themselves with people that will go, yeah, sure, come on, do it, keep doing it. The Bible, again, I hate to bring up the Bible. Don't know where it is in the Bible, but it's in there. The scripture says, comparing themselves among themselves, they became fools. I heard a minister say, it's like a bunch of midgets arguing over who's the tallest. Or the tallest one being proud. It's like a bunch of addicts saying, oh, at least I'm not as bad as him. Hey, great, I surround myself with right? We're like, she's nasty. You always got to keep some people in your group, come on, that are worse than you so you can feel good. But what happens when, that's why I said, so people pay this guy to jerk them out of their surroundings and say, you ain't nothing, stand on your own and do it yourself. Get away from the people that are telling you the voices that are speaking into your ear, and just see what you're made of, where it's just you and God. Now, on the God side of it, when it's just you and God, and He becomes the standard of perfection, come on. I hear people, here's how most confessions go. You come back, you piss dirty. It's just hardwired in us. We always confess to the least incriminating thing. I mean, if we did cocaine, we're going to say, I smoked marijuana. The paper must have had something. They must have soaked the paper in, and I didn't know it. But I'll confess to the marijuana. If I did marijuana, you're not going to confess to that. I don't know what happened. I don't know. Maybe somebody, I was drinking homebrew, and I guess they mixed it with some buds or something to make it a little more potent, and they didn't tell me. I don't know how, but I did drinks. I did. I didn't get drunk. It was 2 beers. That's all. So I'm just saying, it doesn't matter, or it's like, yeah, I did cocaine, but I didn't shoot it up. I don't use needles anymore. I'm good. I'm not that bad. Right? Why? Because we're always like, look, it's this comparative, relative thing to some old something from our past or the other people that we're running with. Like, we're hanging out with these people and we're like, yeah, well, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, that he would do that. Yeah. How do you even know him, and why are you hanging around with him to even know what kind of character he is? And you're feeling good about it because you're, one notch above him? Well, us in this group, yeah, he would be the one most likely. Doesn't surprise me at all. Wonderful. You're the top rat on the treadmill. You're the number one, mouse in the maze. Woo! Good for you. What happens? You want something different. You need to put yourself in a completely different. Listen, the more that this is, well, I didn't think. I mean, they said faith-based, and I kind of, I've looked at the Bible before, and I've been to church, and I went with my grandma and everything when I was little. But y'all are just like, this is ridiculous. I mean, I gotta hear, we can't even listen to Leonard Skinner, my God. Nothing but K-love. I mean, Marvin Gaye. What's wrong with that? Some old school sexual healing. when I get that feeling. Yeah, what's wrong with that? Yeah, but we all got to go down to the health department and get our STD test later. Yeah. Don't want to do anything. It's too hard to serve the Lord. It's good. It's good. It means your anterior mid-singular cortex is expanding. You're becoming an overcomer. You're rising to the challenge. So, let me read to you the Olympic Creed. Hey Siri, find me the Olympic Creed. This is the Olympic Creed. The important thing in life is not to triumph, but the fight. The essential thing is not to have won, but to have fought well. The important thing in life is not to triumph, but to fight. The essential thing is not to have won, but to have fought well. Why? Because everybody, again, what they said, at a high level of athletes, they say what the mid-singular cortex is, right, is larger in people that live longer, people that, athletes, high-performing people. Why is that? Why? Because every day they get up and they push themselves farther and harder doing something they don't want to do. And that in itself is the reward. The actual race that they will run to get the gold medal around their neck, to get there's a saying. How many have heard this saying? Don't rest on your laurels. You heard that? Don't rest on your laurels. That's an Olympic saying. If you go back to the Greek times, instead of a gold medal, they gave you a laurel, which is a bush. They would take laurel leaves, and they would weave them into a crown. So if any of you have seen these, Greek gods and Greek pictures of Olympians, they always have this like leafy crown on their head. That's a laurel crown. So the saying, don't rest on your laurels, means don't be satisfied with a past accomplishment. Don't settle. Don't get at ease. And then the Olympic Creed is what is it? What did it say? The best thing in life, the important thing in life is not to triumph, but to fight. The essential thing is not to have won, but to have fought well. Why? Because the actual competition for the laurel wreath or for the gold medal is easy. It's easy. For an Olympic runner on a 100-yard dash, it's going to be 9 seconds. 9 seconds? Easy. Easy. And then they take the podium and they get the gold medal. You know what wasn't easy? All the training that went into it. The 8 hours a day of training for a 9-second victory. Victory is easy if you're doing all the hard things, all the things you don't want to do, if you're overcoming. And again, you don't get to wear the overcomer thing unless you're doing stuff you don't want to do. They're not handing out like, okay, at the exit of Disney, at the exit gates of Disney World, they're not handing out Olympic medals. Did you have fun? Yeah, it was fun. I had the greatest time of my life. Well, here you go. Here's an Olympic gold medal. You did it. No. It only gets handed out to the people who have struggled and trained and gotten up and did everything that you didn't want to do. While you were at Disneyland, they were taking an ice bath. Or you were nodding off in some corner because you were coming down from your high. Someone was out there busting their butt. Someone was waking up at 5 a.m. to put, bread on their kid's table. Someone was creating a routine for their family and breaking off generational curses by saying, you know what, on Sundays, we're going to get up every Sunday, come hell or high water. I don't care what you feel like. This family goes to church. Well, because, listen, say what you want to say about church, but there's not many other institutions that build places where you can go and get an inspirational message that's personal and have people around you that say, hey, come on, there's something greater about you on the inside than on the outside. Let's come on at least once a week, gather and build this spirit man up. I'll show up in this place with you and we'll work it out. We'll get in our workout. And you'll come away encouraged, refreshed, changed. You'll deepen in some relationships with some good people that also are like-minded about minding their spiritual exercise and developing their spirit life because they know all life comes from the inside out. And all of these people have gotten up, driven across town or whatever, put the money in the gas tank, set the time aside. Why? To go get encouraged, to go get inspired, to go get, but hey, we're not going to do that. I'm going to teach my kids to be lazy and sleep in. No, it doesn't matter. Get up. We're putting a value on this. And this lazy, low living, being depressed, running with the crowd ends with me. My family, my kids, my name is not going to carry on this way. We're starting some new traditions in this family. Healthy traditions, good traditions. I'm going to force you to go, what to? That's kind of the whole point. Great. Great. I'm glad to hear you don't want to. All right. Why? Because I'm gonna boost your anterior mid-singular cortex this morning. This is an opportunity. When you're 90 years old, you're gonna be, my God, I just want to thank my pastor. I remember back in 2020, he made me move a pile of bricks from that side of the yard to that side of the yard. And then when I got done and I was wore out, he said, I changed my mind. Put them back. But I'm alive and I'm feeling good at 99 years of age now. And I kind of got used to it. Now I'm looking for piles of bricks. I'm looking for weeds in my garden. It works. It's biological. It's how God created us. And when he sees us at ease, he sees us settling, seeking after comfort. Because really what it is, it comes down to how we're hardwired, fight or flight. Remember, there is no triumph without a fight. And almost all when you're seeking comfort, don't kid yourself, you're running from something. I need to take that smoke break. You're running from something. You are. Like, no, I could go have that long-awaited conversation I need to have with my boss, but instead, I'm going to go around the corner and smoke. I just got to get away. Fight or flight. You haven't learned to deal with things. I'm just going to eat this whole thing of Oreos and milk. Maybe I'll feel better. Showed a guy a meme of some guy. The whole room is dark. It's just the light from the refrigerator, and it's open, and his gut is like this big, and it's like, I just need a little something. I mean, his gut's like out here. He's like, just need a little something so I don't go to bed on an empty stomach. It's comfort. Like, looks like you swallowed your pillow. That should be enough. There's not a lot of calories, but I mean, you got... Maybe you need a little snack so you don't eat your pillow. I don't know. But it's us seeking, we're seeking comfort, instead of a challenge. And challenge will bring change, and change brings growth. Growth without change is impossible. Growth without change is impossible. You can't go from a kindergartner to first grade without changing teachers, rooms. You don't go from being 2 years old to 5 years old without outgrowing your shoes and your pants and your shirt. You got to change. Growth without change is impossible. A plant grows, you got to put it in a bigger pot. You got to change the dirt. You got to add more water, more nutrients. Why? It's growing. It's changing. You're going to have to prune it back. You're going to have to, everything, it requires change. You do not, and listen, growth doesn't happen without external forces or pressures. It doesn't. Things, when they are left alone, deteriorate. Everything. Everything left unattended does not become better. Nothing becomes better that is left unattended. I like classic cars. There's really hardly, not too many things much more that I like than seeing a car that's in mint condition. But you know what? If I went today and I bought a brand new, paid, $100,000 for some brand new vehicle. Or if I paid let's say I paid, well, they're probably close to $1 million now, but let's say I spent $1 million on a new Bugatti or a Ferrari. You think, it's in mint condition. I'm not going to do anything to it. I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it in a garage. Not going to put any miles on it. I'm going to come back 20, 30 years. I'll look like a genius. It'll be mint. It'll be worth so much money. And you don't do anything to that car. Guess what? Come back in 20 years. The brake lines will have seized up. It will have rusted. Mice would have gotten in, eaten the interior up. The gasoline would have gummed up, the oil would have seized up, the engine, the valves, everything. Why? Why? Because it was left unattended, and nothing left unattended improves. So this thing, you think you're going to ignore your problem and it's going to go away? No. You think you're going to just not attend to these things, not face or confront your challenge? It's going to, no, it doesn't. It's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's going to grow in power against you. Listen, these sayings, they're in the Bible, they're from the Bible. You might not find it written exactly this way, but nip it in the bud. That's not talking about pinching some real good bud off of your 4 plants. It's legal now. I nipped it in the bud. What you doing over there? I'm nipping it in the bud. Just a nip. Just a little nip. Nip it in the bud means address it while it's small. Because if you don't, it's just going to get bigger. That little problem is going to get bigger. But what we do is we avoid, we run, we hide, we dip, we dodge, we make excuses. An excuse is almost always you not facing whatever it is you need to face. Just own it. When you own it and you say, this is my giant, this is my problem, now we can say, okay, do you want to beat it? Do you want to kill it? Do you want to start going into training to overcome it? But keep making excuses for it. You'll look over one day and go, my God, how did that thing get so big? Why does this thing have so much power over me? It just tightens its grip. You were cool with it. Oh, isn't it cute? I like it. Kind of makes me happy. Until it doesn't. Until it's so big and now it makes you sad. Until it's so big now it consumes you and nothing can get past it. Nothing good can get past it without it chewing it up and spitting it out. Without it devouring everything around you. Because you thought it was cute, it was fun, it was enjoyable, it was comfort, it was ease, it was avoidance. You know the easiest way to kill a giant? The easiest way to kill a giant is in the crib. Kill it when it's a baby. God's not stupid. We talk about the God of the Old Testament. There's a reason why he would say, kill those children. Because you know what? Those children are going to grow up and they're going to enslave you. Gideon was hiding out at harvest time. The children of Israel had enemies. And their enemies were pretty smart. They knew they were bigger and more powerful. And so what they would do is they would let the Israelites plant their farms, plant their gardens, work them all year long, and leave them alone. And they're like, we're bigger, we're badder, we're stronger. And they allow us to be close to them and live in the same territory and everything like that. And they'll even let them harvest the fig. I mean, oh, it's harvest time. Bring in the harvest. It's been so great. You know what they would do? Harvest time. Thank you for harvesting everything. We'll take it now. You worked so hard. Wonderful. And they would swoop in, attack them, and just take everything they worked all year for. And this is the picture of what's happening when the angel visits Gideon. Gideon knows this. This has been happening for years. And it would be like, we're just hoping. We're hoping. He was on the threshing floor behind the wall, like it would be like over in the Middle East, they would do like a wine press, and it would be, or they'd have a threshing floor where they'd have like a stone wall. It'd be maybe like a quarter size of this room. And they'd throw all the grapes or all the wheat or whatever in there. And then people would get in this round, cylinder, this small little room wall that had like a 4-foot wall on it. And they'd get in there and they'd stomp the grapes. Or they'd, break down all of the wheat, and all of the grain would be there left on the threshing floor, and they'd throw out the stems and everything like that, and it would all be in this container. Gideon is in there, like he harvests a little bit of wheat, brings it in, and he's trying to be so quiet, and he's trying to stay below the wall so the enemy doesn't see that he's got this grain that he just harvested. And this is going to be for him and his family, but his biggest fear is that the enemy's just going to come in, he's going to do all the work, and they're just going to steal it from him. And there's nothing that he can do. and an angel appears to him and says, Gideon, mighty man of valor. Now, you get the picture. He has no bravery. He has no courage. He's in terrible fear. He's hiding from the enemy. He's in fear. And the angel says, you mighty, calls him by a different name. Identifies him as a mighty man of valor. Gideon makes an excuse. Gideon gives excuses like we give excuses. I'm not that. I can't do that. It's too hard. You don't understand. And then we proceed to give an excuse of why we can't. Well, you don't know me. My sciatica is acting up. I just really struggle. It's part of my lineage. It's in my DNA. I have a predisposition to addiction. You don't understand. My mama and my daddy and this and that. Facts. Facts. I hear the facts, but it ain't the truth. You understand, facts aren't always the truth. And data is not the truth. Statistics are not the truth. Evidence isn't the truth. What God says is the truth. So the angel says, Gideon, you mighty man of valor. He proceeds to give all these excuses. Well, I don't think you understand who you're talking to. Is there somebody else here? Is there somebody else? Are you talking to me? And he says, you don't understand. And he, first off, I'm just saying, if an angel appeared to me, but this is how great. See, I say this, but we look throughout history, and even angels appearing to people, like, didn't change what came out their mouth. Didn't change their thoughts or their opinions. Do you know that almost every story of where an angel appears or whatever, you have people that are like having these discussions with them like, yeah, but you don't know. So he proceeds to have this discussion with this angel. I mean, I'm just saying, I would think that if an angel appeared, we'd be like, well, okay, whatever you say. Whatever you say. But us as humans are so stuck, and we so elevate what we think that we're gonna have a comeback, even for an angel. We're gonna present our argument, our excuse, our reasons. And so he proceeds, he's like, you don't know who I am. You must have the wrong guy. Don't you understand? Our tribe, the tribe that I'm from, there's 12 tribes of Israel. The tribe that I'm from is the least successful, the least wealthy, the least powerful of the 12 tribes, okay? You got that, Mr. Angel? All right, so I don't know who you're talking to, you mighty, you great, mighty man of valor, expecting something out of me. I come from the least of the tribes. I come from the wrong side of the tracks. Ain't no one in our family got no, And then he proceeds to go on. So he says, I come from the lowest tribe. Then he says, do you understand? Then let me just tell you something else. Not only do I come from the lowest tribe, our family, my papa, is known as the least in the tribe. So we come from the worst tribe, but our family, all my kin, all my cousins, like we're notorious. Like within the tribe, they're like, we just show up at the courthouse and the judges roll his eyes. Aren't you one of them Jackson boys? Yeah, I knew your papa. He's serving time too. And you know we count mama. So this is what Gideon says. He says, my family, worst family in the whole tribe. And if that ain't bad enough, let me just tell you. I'm the lowest, the youngest, the one that has the least of the family. I'm the least in the family. I don't have a pot to piss in. I don't have nothing to show for me. Lowest tribe, worst family, least in the family. I'm the black sheep. We get together at Thanksgiving, people, I'm the one they're talking about. Where's he at now? Nothing to surprise me. They always put me at the kiddie table if I show up. It's in the other room. I eat last. They were like, well, we didn't even know if you were showing up. You never do. We didn't even leave a seat for you. Come on. The angel says, nah, I don't have it wrong. I'm calling you mighty man of valor. Now get up. Stop hiding out. I got some work for you to do. I'm going to make you a general. People in 2020 are going to be talking about the great stuff you're about to do. So get up. So that's your word for today. Get up. Stop hiding behind your excuses. Love the boot. Understand that you came to Bible boot camp because it's what you need. You need a boot up your ass. You've been running from it. But it's what's going to make all the difference in the world. Why? Can I tell you? Because that person that's wearing that boot, they believe in you more than you believe in yourself. They're not calling you out, they're calling you up. They're telling you, yeah, this is different. It's difficult. It's hard. You don't like it. It's unfamiliar. I'm still amazed so many times by people that get offended, that come here when they get told to do something. Well, you didn't say it very nice. You just told me, go out there and unload that truck. Grab that. You didn't seem to have a problem with it when you were out in the world and you got called every name in the book. And people did you dirty and did you wrong, and you still hung out with them. And they had no future interest in you. They didn't believe in you. They weren't providing nothing for you. They'd talk all kind of smack. And you still didn't have a problem going around there. Most of us have taken horrible abuse and still, by God, still slept with the person. Take all kind of abuse. Verbal, emotional, physical. And then someone that sees something in you more than the right now, sees past the tattoos and sees past the rap sheet and sees past all of that and says, hey, come to a safe place, get lifted up, get built up, we're going to challenge you to overcome and face some things, face your giants and change and become somebody different because you can. Because this is not how God intended you. You were created in the image and likeness of God. And you're a son and a daughter of God. So get off your ass. I can't believe it. You said that to me. Do it this way. It's better. Well, I think, well, that's the problem. An angel just appeared to you. You might want to just shut up. They're calling you up to something higher, someplace different. The angel, God would later, the story about Gideon is that he opposed, and I'll say this, he stood and defeated an army of thousands and thousands with 300 men. And even then, God was giving him the instruction, and God said, look, tell all the guys that don't want to go to battle, you don't want to fight, you're a little afraid, got something better going on at home. I know the Super Bowl's on tonight. This is a real bad time for a war. Your team's playing. I get it. You don't want to be here? No hard feelings, you can go. Ain't no one going to say nothing about it. And 2/3 of the army just leaves. Super Bowl? I got wings. I can be home with my wife. I can be kicking it with my buddies. We're out of here. No hard feelings, no shame. Okay, cool. You giving me permission? I'm out. Whittled down to about 3,000 men or so. And then the angel says, still too many. Too many. We're facing over 10,000 people in the other army. Yeah. Too many. You could do it. Argue, 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 argue. Was his argument not based in facts? Yeah, it was based in facts. Did he use statistics? Absolutely. Well, 10,000, there should be no way an army of 100,000, an army of 3,000 can beat an army of 100,000. That's just the facts. I'm just telling you the facts. Stand here and argue. Oh, God said, nah, too many. Let's get it down to where there's just a few hundred. Few hundred. You're crazy. Never work. I think. Here we go again with the I think. Do you understand? Maybe sometimes God's just doing some things a certain way just to actually kill that. Like maybe that's really what he's after. Maybe he doesn't even care about the outcome of this or that. He just wants to kill the I think. So he'll bring up situations and circumstances that you think and that I think. He's just like, the problem isn't the enemy. The problem is that you think. The problem is you want to stand there and argue with a force that's bigger than you. God doesn't need our thought power. He doesn't need all of this. What he needs is our cooperation. What he needs is our surrender. What he needs is our okay. I told my kids, I said, really, there's only like 2 letters in the alphabet that you ever need to even learn or spell or anything. It's O, it's K. I can teach it to you in sign language. Everybody, O-K. Just say, okay. That's it. That's it. Okay. We'll leave out the A, the B, the C. All I want to hear is the O and the K. Come on, I'm serious. Like I'm talking to myself. I'm the biggest rebellious, was hung up on authority. Took me 45 years to learn how to say, okay. That's pathetic. 45-year-old man doesn't know how to say okay. Finally learned it. And then some stuff started happening in my life. You just kind of get it with the flow with it. Now it's like, wow, there's forces out there that are bigger, that actually want me to succeed. If I say I'm a son of God, then that must mean that there is a Father. And just in the nature of the word son and father, one is lower than the other. See, a lot of people want to call ourselves sons of God and stick out our chest and be. Son denotes a lesser state of being. And that everything that you receive, right down to your DNA, is conferred and given to you from someone with a higher status. See, and when you can learn how to flow in that and just remain in that, the universe is like, I'm just telling you, the universe, and all of the people that have power and authority in the universe are looking for cooperative people. There's a cooperative. I mean, why would anybody with any power, any favor, any status, any blessing look like, no, there's over here, I have a choice between cooperative people and working with a rebellious person. I think I'll take the rebellious person. Let me just shower grace and mercy, favor and blessing on this rebellious, hard-headed person. What do you think the universe is looking for? It's looking for cooperation. Well, I'm my own man. I go my own way. I do my own thing. To thine own self be true. Got it tattooed right here. I'd hate to be a hypocrite. To thine own self be true. Now, if I don't feel it and I don't think it, why should I do it? It's a whole lot of I's in there. The universe isn't looking for the I's. I think, I want, I this, I that, I'm. It's not even looking for excuses from I'm this, I'm that, I can't, I won't, but you don't understand, You understand? I'm just telling you, and I could say this without using the name of Jesus, and just say the universe. The universe is set up to be more powerful than the individual. And when the individual realizes this and just surrenders to the larger powers, then it carries the individuals. It carries you. It lifts you. It'll take you places you could never get yourself. It will shower blessing and favor on you. Why? Because if I have a choice to give my favor and can I just tell you, there's favor and there's blessing everywhere. If you haven't experienced it, it's because you're not cooperating. You haven't been listening to your teachers. Come on, this is me. This is me. I had parent-teacher conferences all the time. Did I listen? No. Number one thing on my report card. Gary could do much better if he applied himself, but he talks too much. Doesn't apply himself. Talks too much. I. And when you learn to surrender, like I said, it only took me 45 years. And now, 10 years after that, I'm actually getting comfortable in my skin. Because listen, when you first start surrendering and cooperating, it feels foreign. Why? Because it's all of those excuses that Gideon gave, it's like, all right, I've learned. I still feel that way, but I'm not going to stand here on it and in principle and argue it. I'm going to surrender. I'm going to yield. And it feels like you're not being true to your tattoo. That's a good one. Be true to your tattoo. Woo! Most of us need to go the other way. Come on. For real, right? Am I right? Come on, man. Start doing what the angels are telling you to do. Start doing what the angels are telling you to do. Cooperate with the Holy Spirit. Give up your yes. And give up your right. Listen, give up your right to be right. Because wise people learn it's not so much about right and wrong. You can fight to be right and be oh so wrong. You're right. You're right, based on those facts. But here's what you forget. Being right about the facts, you can be wrong about the truth of the universe. And you're fighting something you are not equipped to do battle with. And in fact, you're fighting the thing that wants to give you favor. You're fighting the thing that was created to give you favor. Oh my goodness, what are you letting me talk till almost 10 o'clock? Now I'm going to have to fight with my wife. You know that ain't going to go well. I'm wrong. Have mercy. Dear Heavenly Father, bless us today. Let us listen to the angels. Let us believe in something bigger than self. In Jesus' name, amen.